Hello there, my name is Brent, and behind me is the abandoned mining town of Cerro Gordo. And this past month, a lot has happened in this sleepy old town. We made a lot of building progress, as you can see. We cut in a new hiking trail that has the most beautiful views that I've ever seen. I did some serious mining for silver, and we even had a visit from the most famous water dowser in all of the land. A lot happened, so let's get into it.
Dude, this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
This is a nightmare.
Welcome back to the abandoned mines of Cerro Gordo. This is probably my favorite place, especially when it starts to get a little cold like it is these days. There's 30 miles of mines here, so there's plenty of place to hide out. You know, it might even be a good place to build a house. I do have power and internet 900 feet down the main mine here. But I have been living at Cerro Gordo for a long time now. And I think the name of the game when it comes to huge projects was just keeping motivated. And I think this past month, I hit on a lot of the points that month over month, year over year seem to keep me motivated. I learned or continue to learn from new people, you know, whether that's people that I've already known, like Jason from Maker Mining, Dan Hurd. I return to things that always bring me joy. I think as it gets busy, it's easier to abandon some of those things, but I took some beautiful hikes this month. I went down to the mines, had some amazing explorations, found some cool minerals, did some mining, all that type of stuff. That's always a lot of fun. And then finally, I have you guys. You know, this channel has become my accountability partner, my support system, and a lot more. And so whether you guys like it or not, I want to say thank you so much for that. It's been a really cool month, actually. And so without any further ado, let's dive into everything going on up here over the last month or so. And next we have the project above all projects, the project of the past 4 years, and that is rebuilding the American Hotel here at Cerro Gordo. As you can see, we got some walls going in. These are gonna be in between the rooms here. There's gonna be 6 rooms in this top floor. All of the rooms will have just postcard views. I mean, look at that. Imagine waking up to that every morning. As you may be able to tell, if you look above me, there is no roof, which is probably my main stressor in the whole town right now, because if we were to get a few feet of snow, nobody's gonna be having a good time. And that's because the guys that are working on the framing have had a couple of transportation issues, some health issues. Things are better now, and so we're back rocking and rolling. After they get done putting up the sheeting, the roofer that's coming to put on the corrugated metal says it'll only take him about 3 days to throw all that up. So we're close, but once again, the hotel is an exercise in patience. There's only so much I can do. A lot of this work needs to be done by licensed contractors, and so it's a waiting game at the moment, but we're close. I'm hoping in a week or so, this roof is on, and the plan then would to be continue working. By summer of next year, you would be able to come, stay in the hotel, and drink your morning coffee with that view. So fingers crossed, send us our best wishes that the thing gets enclosed here before the real snow hits. Another thing I've always been interested at Cerro Gordo is gold. Now this is a silver mine. You know, that's why this town was built. That's why it's famous. But I've always heard whispers that would indicate that there used to be a lot of gold in these hills as well. And if I was ever going to search for gold, now would be the time, because I have 2 of the most qualified individuals I can imagine here to help me look. I have Dan Hurd and Jason from Baker Mining up here, and together we are going to search anywhere and everywhere that gold might have existed at Cerro Gordo and figure out what that story is all about. Dan, where are you gonna head?
I'm going to the surface just outside the Jefferson chimney, and there's a whole bunch of old workings there, mine dumps that I'm going to start detecting, and hopefully we can find one of those nuggets.
We're going down the cage of doom, the cage of death, to the 86, and we're going to work right underneath where Dan is. So we're all going to be looking for those gold nuggets.
We will find gold today. I will guarantee you by the end of the day we will have gold.
Woo!
How much?
Oh, big words.
I like that. All right, Dan, good luck.
Thank you so much. I can do it. Finding the gold.
Dan's going to go metal detect the wash. Brett and I are going underground. He's going to look for gold. We should have a contest, Dan. Who can find the most
gold? And so when it comes to gold at Cerro Gordo, there are two old newspaper articles that got us very excited. The first is from 1875 from the Inyo Independent. The title is Streets of Cerro Gordo Paved with Gold. Our junior was shown a piece of gold, or rather a nugget, by Mr. Price at Lone Pine that weighed 13 ounces, 2/3 of which was pure gold. Everybody is immensely excited, and truly Cerro Gordo is literally paved with gold. The second article is from the Inyo Independent. It says, some 2 weeks since we made mention of a rather exciting discovery of gold in the dumps of the silver lead mines of Cerro Gordo. Since then, we have seen a very fine specimen of about 3 ounces weight being quartz and gold in nearly equal proportions. The boulders containing the gold are heavily coated with iron rust. And so when Jason and I go underground and Dan stays above ground, we're going to be looking for this quartz that has a iron rust coating to it. Hopefully of some type of uniform shape. That's where it gets a little bit wonky, but that just feels like a treasure hunt waiting to happen. All right, Jason and I made it down to the 86. We are now gonna make our way over towards the Jefferson chimney, which is where they said back in the day that $200,000 of the gold is found. Hopefully with some expert eyes like Jason, we can see what it looks like. And Dan's above us, searching around in the old dumps. It's gonna be a good day. Let's create a nice stack of rock there. There we go, we got a little friend here. See that?
Oh, yeah, cool.
3, holy cow, there's a lot.
A lot of bats?
Yeah.
Here for the winter.
One here. As we came up to the first collapse we had to go over, above the collapse, there was this kind of rusted orange rock. And Jason said that that looks really good. You know, what we were looking for ideally, that was described in the newspaper article, was a quartz that was covered with an iron ore that made it look like rust. What about this? Is this like the iron we're looking for?
Yeah, that's exactly what they were talking about. Like
Sounds like a vein.
And see, there's this little slip here, this little fault, and this may be the trace of the Union and the Jefferson. I'm kind of thinking they're in line with each other along strike.
Okay.
And so they may be like two huge pods within this fault zone or within this area.
Right.
And so the miners were just following the trace of the vein, and it's real lensy. So this is like a little lens. Right. That's exactly what they were talking about in the prospectus and newspaper articles, is that super brown, rusty quartz, and no one could see the gold in it because it was so rusty. And this is all done by hand, right?
Yeah, and then hug the left side because we're basically, you're there.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and then look down, dude. I'm on a false floor, which is also sketchy.
You're on a false floor, okay.
But down that way.
You roped down this?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and it came out right here.
Oh, man.
And then if you look down, there's another just...
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
So after we looked around the Jefferson a while, we made a plan to go back to the collapse and make that our primary target.
My theory is that the Union and the Jefferson are on the same structure.
Okay.
And they're, I don't know, I'll have to look on the surface, but the structure got offset here, it looks like, maybe 100 feet or more. And yeah, they're just working both of them. Because they definitely came down and hit the structure. We walked through it from the hoist.
Right. This would have been hard going through.
Dude, this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
This is a nightmare.
How would you even like? Because it's just going to collapse all around you all the time.
Right, and it's probably they probably didn't even blast in here. It was just like they would like work around a boulder and like drop it and then break it up and get it out of here. Because you can't drill this. Yeah. Like it if you drill a hole, it just like stuff falls down and clogs your hole. So. Because
this is just like gravel stuck together over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Terribly unsafe.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like. It's just a nightmare. Like you could do it with a shovel.
Yeah. It would just be collapsing on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as we were by the collapse, there's another little kind of rabbit hole as they were just kind of snaking above, following a vein. And this vein was also this kind of rich, dark orange clay, as well as the quartz with the rust over it. Oh, some decent stuff about to fall.
Yeah.
I'll put that down the hole. Is that quartz, you think?
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like
gold.
Rusty gold. Rusty irony quartz.
Cerro Gordo gold. Cerro Gordo gold. I might. Let me see here. All right, so our first bucket of ore from the mine. This is the quartz that's a little rusty. What do you think about this ore, Jason?
It looks really good. Yeah. It looks like what they were talking about in the article, that super brown quartz that is hard to see anything in, but there could be gold in it.
We're gonna check it out. We got that. We're headed up for trip 1. We're gonna give a check-in on, see how Dan's doing. Maybe Dan's at the top of the 13-ounce nugget, you know? We just don't know yet.
It's way better when they're up here in the light. You can see them. I like you go down and get them, and then I get a look at them.
Yeah. So after Jason and I got back up top with this rusted quartz, we had to crush it up. What you're trying to do is you're trying to free the gold from whatever it's being held within. And then gold is much heavier than any other mineral up here, so it's going to sink to the bottom if you start panning it.
After shaking for a few seconds, this top stuff will have no gold that is free, like by itself. Might have some that's still attached to quartz, but all this top stuff, there will be no nuggets.
We don't have it crushed down fine enough, so maybe only 10% of the gold got liberated, because see how coarse it is? Because we just don't have the fine crushing ability here. But we probably liberated some, and so that's our goal, is to get down to the fines in the bottom.
No gold. We'll get it in the wash tomorrow.
Okay. There you go, Brent. There's your hope.
Woo! A little bit of silver.
A little bit of silver.
Today we're looking for gold once again in the wash. I'm going to refer to Dan to explain what's going on.
Well, we're definitely looking for the wash that drains the Cerro Gordo area, and then we're going to try to find the first spot where the wash all concentrates into one spot, but then flows over bedrock, because the bedrock is going to be what catches the heavies, like gold.
I'm ready to find some gold.
Woo! Me too.
See how the bedrock here, it's all in place, but it's all fractured up.
Right.
So we want to find the rocks that are sitting where they belong, but have cracks on top and beside them that capture material. All of this material is all the heaviest of the material that have fallen into that crack. It could have been there for thousands of years. And any gold will have fallen into that crack and just stayed there. Anything that stays on top, falls on top, gets washed away in the next flood.
Right.
This stuff, that's the juice, that's the gold.
Okay. Perfect. Let's get some gold.
There's a lot of heavy black rocks in there, which is a good sign.
Okay.
We were getting the heavies that were in the creek.
Right.
And gold being the heaviest,
right,
let's hope it fell with the other heavy things. Brent?
Yep.
You have no gold.
Oh no!
And I guaranteed it.
Oh, no.
I'm fired.
So after all of that, no gold. Does that mean that there's no gold at Cerro Gordo? I don't think so. but it does lead to a lot of questions. Was that prospectus right? What about the gold production? What about these nuggets that they're showing? Was it all just mining myth? I don't know, but I'm not done hunting. I'm gonna keep looking around. I think that the idea of one of these tailing piles having those nuggets is enough to keep me hunting for a while, but that is mining. Some days you work hard, you get nothing. So I'm getting a little taste of maybe what they felt some days up here in the past. Another pressing interest this month is water. You know, living with no running water is no joke, but it's also led me on some of my biggest adventures up here. And so many of you have commented on different suggestions related to either the pump or the water in different ways. The two most frequent suggestions would be to have a hydrogeologist up and to have a water witch up. Those two fall pretty far on the spectrums of science, I would say, but they're both very effective. And a couple months ago, we had a hydrogeologist come up. He advised me on where he thinks the best area would be to drill a well and then make it balanced. We needed the water dowser. And if you're gonna go with any dowser, you gotta go with the best. And that is how I came upon Rob Thompson. I read about Rob originally in a New York Times article that was about these huge multi-million-dollar vineyards in Napa that were using Rob to find their well locations during a drought. And just the boom of success that he's had here in the past 40 years as a dowser.
Long story short, this guy wants me to come to Texas and look for oil and gas. And he didn't tell me anything, but I found this area. Within a day, I told him all the information. I said, well, it's 2,900 feet. We'll produce about 110 barrels a day. It's about 300 feet wide. He looked at me and just fell over. He says, I didn't tell you, but Edgar Casey came and did the same area. He said that this area is the mother pool of all oils.
Yeah.
He says, son, we spent over $450,000 in doing 3D seismic in this area to find it. And you found it in a day.
You know, oil companies swear by him, vineyards swear by him, and I find it fascinating. You know, I think before you dismiss this whole clip as just, you know, whatever you want to dismiss it as, I would say just think about an opportunity to learn something new. You know, these days, Rob does most of his dowsing remotely. So what he'll do is he'll print out a map of the area that he wants to study. He'll wake up in the middle of the night and just start dowsing.
So it's 4 o'clock in the morning, like I said. Here we are, we're going to start dowsing with pendulums. There's lots of different types of pendulums. This is the one I use for gold and treasures. What I do when I'm starting to map dowse is I'll just give it a kick up and down, right? And then I take this ruler and I start moving it over the map, concentrating on this edge, and just slowly migrate this ruler over the map. It's a Google Earth topo map that I printed out in a series and taped them all together. And all of a sudden it'll start circling in a clockwise motion. So I'll stop, put the rod down and draw a line right up and down this. And then what I'll do is I'll do it again. I ground out by a ping on the desk and follow that line up.
He said he dowses in the middle of the night because you need the mind to be kind of calm. You need to kind of just let the limbs flow and the mind flow and just let that happen. And after you have your location, you're trying to figure out 2 other things. 1, how deep that well might need to be. And 2, what the flow rate might be on that well as well. You ground the rods, which means take the rods, stab them into the ground to kind of like clear the whole energy. You put them up, start walking, and eventually when they cross, that might be your spot for water. The method that Rob does is he then stands over them again, grounds them again, stands over them again, and starts counting out depths. And eventually, the rods will cross, and that gives you the approximate depth that you're trying to drill.
So this well should be drilled to how deep? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 340. Whoa, okay, 340 feet deep.
You know, then you kind of do it again. You ground out again, raise them up, and you say, you really think about water, think about it flowing through rock, and say, 1 gallon per minute, 2 gallons per minute, 3 gallons per minute.
5 gallons a minute, 10 gallons a minute. Yeah, it'll make 10 gallons a minute, 340 feet. 15 gallons a minute, 20. See how it's lightening up like that? 21. 21. Nah, it won't make. It might make 21, but so let's call it 20. Let's call it 15 to 20 gallons a minute.
You know, Rob came with his whole toolbox of supplies. He had these long stainless steel rods that he says that are good for water.
Like that. I'll use the oil rub bronze for like oil and gas and minerals. And these are Brent's Christmas present this year.
All right. Thank you. Broke out the maps, and just to get kind of like a reorientation of the town, Rob put them out on the pool table. He took out some pendulums, you know, to kind of like go around as well. Those can give you a disturbance when they're onto something.
And so these are yours.
Okay.
These are your water
Oh, thank you.
rods.
All right.
In fact, you know what? We're going to test you first.
Okay.
Now, this is good.
Yeah, now
You find your own well for the, you know, the town.
Right.
And if you're on,
Okay.
but if you're not, I'm going to, you know, you're going to have to
Yeah.
put you in the Padawan corner.
Okay. All right, let's give it a shot.
We've got a natural born dowser here. Why did I come all the way down here?
So he did a variety of methods. He was nice enough to even teach me, you know. I think my mind is a little bit too anxious for the dowsing rods. In the end, they zeroed in on 2 locations. One of which is right here. This is well number 1. And this one is located directly behind the Gordon house. It's in a very easy to drill location. It's very convenient. It's a lot closer to town than the one that the hydrogeologist came up with. And the second location that Rob found was directly behind the museum over there.
So if you want the best, it's over there, quality. If you want the most gallons, it's right here.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Brent,
Not my plans.
there is so much more than you know down there
Yeah.
that I can see. I mean, that 30 miles,
Yeah.
you probably could drill 300 miles. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
There's still 150 million down there on the 30 miles.
That would be nice.
You know, I can't tell you how many skeptics into believers of dowsing. And you know, Joe Rogan thinks dowsing is like a joke. I'd like him to call Gallo, Kendall Jacks, and most of the wineries in California and ask him that question.
Yeah. Most of them found the water by
In fact, I love Joe Rogan to have me on the show and let me teach him, you know, dowsing. And you know what? If I had a day with him, believe me, he would change his mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can probably put that in your thing about Joe Rogan.
I put whatever I want in there.
Yeah, dude.
You know, I had a lot of fun meeting Rob and his family. They're great. They're very knowledgeable. And I think that anytime you want to pursue something new, it's always good to find like a very knowledgeable source in that field. And no matter how skeptic or whatever you want to be, I think you can always use an opportunity to learn something new. Cool.
Yeah, let's doing business, man.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're out of here.
You're out here? Just like that?
Yeah, Shazam.
Cool. We're welcome to stay around if you
And
want.
man, I hope we get some agreement here. I cannot wait to tell you how much is here.
So I'm interested. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. You know, would you ever use a water dowser? What do you think of Rob and his methods? What do you think of hydrogeologists and their methods? What do you think that I should do if getting water to Cerro Gordo is number 2 on the priority list of 2024? When I think of finishing the hotel, I then think of water and just all of the future that will unlock for this town. So let me know. You know, if you have any suggestions about other things I should do about the water, what I should do about drilling, let me know. We're probably good on suggestions related to the 700-foot level pump. I know there's been a lot of suggestions there, but it's a time and money function right now. But water is always in the brain, and I think 2024 is going to be a big year for water at Cerro Gordo. The update that I might be the most proud of this month is within this box. Because in here are printed versions of the book I wrote. This is an advanced uncorrected proof. You know, this is probably the thing that I worked the hardest on over the last 4 years. This goes over, events over the last 3 years, my meditations, my thoughts towards the events, untold history about the town that I figured out and woven throughout it. And I'm really proud of it, you know? Earlier this month, I was able to go down and spend some time with Ryan Holiday to get some final notes on it. This publishing process is a long one. You know, next step, it goes to the final printing press, and I'm actually gonna fly out there to show you guys that too. I wanna see all the books flying off the shelves. But if you guys have pre-ordered this book already, that means the world to me. This is something I pour my heart and soul into, and pre-orders just mean a big deal in the book world. If you haven't done that yet, there are some special bonuses that I'm giving out. And if you look at the video description in this, those are outlined. But it means a lot, and it wouldn't be possible without you guys, so I just want to say thank you for that. It's an exciting update for me, and I think, as with most things here, I want to preserve this for future generations. And so I have this time capsule, which I'm then going to put one of these limited edition advanced uncorrected proofs into. And so let me know in the comments below where this should go on the property. I think somewhere fun, somewhere it's going to be in the future, so we can look back and understand what's going on here. But that was a fun update this month, so thank you guys so much. And if you haven't, do consider jumping on the bandwagon, buying this. It's available anywhere books are sold, and your support just means the world to me. I think obviously history is why this town's important. Learning from the artifacts, the buildings, the museum I have here, the mines. But when I think about visitors coming, learning about that, and then doing other things, I try to think about, you know, what I like to do the most. And the answer to that is pretty much all around me. You know, if you look, we have some of the most stunning geography that I've ever been in my life. And I think the best place to take all this in is at Cerro Gordo Peak, which is just above the town at about 9,200 feet in elevation. And right now, the only way to get there is to take a car over on the side, the south side of the town. You take a little 10-minute hike and boom, you're there. But the problem with that I have, is that you lose a view of Death Valley National Park during that. And it struck me that it would just be beautiful if there was a hike that would take you along a ridge where you could see some old historical buildings. It would twist and turn through some beautiful nature. You would see the town as well. That would just be one of the coolest hikes I could imagine. And so this month we set out to mark that hike and allow many of you to come and just get, in my opinion, the best hike anywhere around here. Staking out this true trail was exciting. It was probably one of the most exciting things that I've done in the last 6 months. It just felt truly like history in the making. We hit a little canyon, which isn't a huge deal to jump down, but I don't want casual visitors that are having to go down that. So we're gonna go back down to where it gets flat, go across the canyon where it's flat, come up this side of the canyon, then hit the ridge and go over. That's what we're out here for, figuring out what the best trail would be. Part of it is backtracking, so unfortunately, we're gonna take up all our beautiful little stakes, go down and redo it on the other side. We just kept editing and re-editing and moving markers and trying to get it to bring people to the best vantage points, as well as create a grade that would be comfortable for most visitors to hike up. So we might try to blast the trail this way, even though it's a little bit more difficult, just for that vantage point. It's a little bit nicer. These are big decisions, you know, these trails are gonna last for a long time, so we don't take them lightly. Probably get up to the top, seeing that it's a little bit easier to flag it going back rather than flagging going forward because you don't know where you're going. But hopefully we can get kind of to the ridge this way, which provides us crazy views of Owens Valley, the town, and you already see Death Valley out that way, so I think we're on the right route. So far we've been using an old mining trail to get it around a little bit of the bend. And here we're gonna kind of go into that canyon and go up. But you can see we're even using some of the old cribbing, which would be nice if we are able to clear out some of these bushes, establish it better. I like the idea of walking in the path the miners did back in the 1800s. But it appears we lose the trail there. So from there it'll be kind of true trail blazing. And from there we're gonna try to get to the ridge. There appears to be some type of interesting formation up there. And I like this side of the mountain because this gives views of all of Death Valley, which is very unique and interesting. And as we got towards the top, I will say that things got a little bit loose and quick. It is very steep towards the top of Cerro Gordo Peak. There's a lot of shale, you're slipping and sliding a lot, but we did it. I truly think that this is one of, if not the best trails in this area. It's something that I'm very proud of. It's something that I'm extremely excited to continue developing over the years. But it's cool. If you're a hiker, if you have any input, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to develop this into a great feature of the town for visitors to come in the future. If you want to help, love that too. I've watched it about 3 or 4 times now, and it's getting pretty good. So stay tuned for a lot more updates on the trail here. I think it's something that's gonna be really exciting. If you do come up to the town, look out for it. It's something new to do. But overall, there's a super exciting update this month, and one that I'm really excited to share with you guys. All right, it's time for an update on the studio project. Going in, it looks way different than it did before. Much higher ceiling. You see some insulation is in. The opening for the control room is there. And it's just looking awesome. Can't wait to see the space continue to kind of grow and turn into what it could be. Got the rock wool, good stuff. And it's transforming. What a month. When it comes to staying excited in these big projects, I think the most important thing is just returning to what filled you with joy early on in this thing. And for me, a lot of that happened right here. This is my sunset spot where I used to come almost every day just to look at these mountains, or to turn and just see desert for as far as you could possibly see. And it was just so different than the city life I had grown up in. It just felt so much more important, so much more connected. I think being up here as a way of zooming me out of everything and allowing me to see the big picture of what I'm doing at Cerro Gordo, and that type of stuff is important. So I think as far as good months go, this has been a great one. And probably the only thing to make it a little better would be a little hike. I still got a decent amount of sunlight left, so I'm gonna take a little stroll and just reminisce on the month and the years up here at Cerro Gordo. The poet David Weiss says that gratitude arises from being awake in the presence of everything that lives within and without us, and from the understanding that we're miraculously part of something rather than nothing. And I know that feeling. I'm part of something up here, something really cool that I'm an increasingly small part of. And up here, looking at Saline Valley and Owens Valley, I feel the most connected to that feeling. I'm the most aware of everyone and everything that's ever been here or ever will be. And I feel at peace, fulfilled, certain that I've made the right decision in devoting myself to this place. And I hope you all get to that feeling too. And remember to be grateful both in the moment and not just afterwards. It's hard, but if you need a shortcut, try taking a hike.